25 Forgotten Poor Man. Sandwiches your grandparents ate to survive. What if the most unforgettable meals came from the hardest times? When cupboards were nearly bare, our grandparents got creative, turning scraps into sandwiches that fed families and lifted spirits. Some may sound strange today, but each one tells a story of survival, love, and ingenuity. Monte Cristo Sandwich. Let's kick things off with a sandwich that sounds like something you'd order in a French cafe. But really, it's pure American comfort food with a twist. The Monte Cristo takes a basic ham and cheese sandwich, dips it in egg batter like French toast, and fries it until the outside is golden and crispy, while the inside stays melty and rich. Some folks enjoy it savory, straight off the griddle. Others take it to the next level with a dusting of powdered sugar and a side of fruit preserves or maple syrup. That sweet and salty mix? Absolutely unforgettable. This sandwich became a legend, thanks in part to Disneyland's Blue Bayou restaurant, where it's still a crowd favorite. It's indulgent, it's nostalgic, and it proves that even with simple ingredients, ham, cheese, and a little egg, you can turn an ordinary meal into something that feels like a special occasion. Creamed corn sandwich. The creamed corn sandwich is one of those simple meals that somehow sticks with you for a lifetime. Just picture 2 slices of buttered bread, generously slathered with creamed corn, soft, slightly sweet, and full of warmth. It wasn't much, but back in the Great Depression and through other hard times, it meant everything to families trying to stretch what little they had. This sandwich came together in minutes, no fancy ingredients needed. Some folks would toast the bread for a little crunch, while others kept it soft and comforting, letting the creamy corn soak in just right. Either way, it felt like a small kindness on a tough day. For many, that first bite brings back memories of grandma's cozy kitchen, of after-school snacks, or quiet meals at the family table. Onion sandwich. At first glance, the onion sandwich might not sound appetizing, just raw onion on bread. But for countless workers in the early 1900s, it was a dependable, no-nonsense meal that got the job done. Onions were cheap, available year-round, and surprisingly packed with nutrients. In an era when meat was often too expensive to touch, this sharp, simple sandwich kept hard-working folks on their feet, and even helped ward off colds with its natural antibacterial kick. To make it more palatable, the onions were sliced paper-thin and soaked in cold water to soften the bite. Then they were patted dry and layered over slices of buttered bread, or sometimes given a splash of vinegar for extra tang. A pinch of salt and pepper was all it needed. Coal miners, factory workers, and laborers carried these sandwiches in their lunch pails, and thanks to their pungent aroma, no one ever tried to steal one. Peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Today, it's a childhood classic, but during the Great Depression, the peanut butter and jelly sandwich was pure survival. Peanut butter offered an affordable, shelf-stable source of protein when meat was too expensive. Families paired it with homemade jelly, often made from whatever fruit they could grow or gather. To stretch ingredients, peanut butter was spread edge to edge, while jelly was saved for just the middle. It was simple, filling, and full of energy. Everything you needed during hard times. During World War II, PB&J became part of military rations. Soldiers got used to it and brought the habit home, turning it into a national favorite. Regional twists added charm: grape jelly in the Northeast, strawberry in the South, apple butter in Appalachia. One humble sandwich with a history as rich as its flavor. Mayonnaise and banana sandwich. It might sound like an odd combo today, but back during the Great Depression, the mayonnaise and banana sandwich was a lifesaver, especially in the American South. With food scarce and every penny counting, families got resourceful. Bananas were cheap, packed with nutrients, and didn't need cooking. Mayo added just enough creaminess and a little bit of protein to turn this into a surprisingly satisfying sandwich. Mothers would slice bananas lengthwise, nice and ripe, and lay them gently on soft white bread that had been lightly spread with mayonnaise. That's it. Simple, quick, and filling. If sugar or honey was on hand, a sprinkle on top turned it into something sweet and special, almost dessert-like. The result was a sandwich that offered a sweet and savory bite, soft and creamy, with just enough richness to stick with you. Ketchup Sandwich. When cupboards were nearly empty, the ketchup sandwich was the last line of defense. And oddly enough, a childhood favorite for many. Just 2 slices of bread and a swipe of ketchup. It sounds too simple to matter. But during the Great Depression, it meant everything. Fresh vegetables were scarce, but a bottle of ketchup could stretch for weeks. It added flavor, a touch of tangy sweetness, and just enough tomato to pretend it was something more. Parents got creative. Some would toast the bread, others sprinkled a bit of sugar to make it feel like a dessert. Believe it or not, school cafeterias in the 1930s even served them to kids. It may not have been much, but for children growing up in tough times, a ketchup sandwich was comfort. Plain, honest, and unforgettable. Bologna Sandwich. The Bologna Sandwich, simple, cheap, and for many Americans, unforgettable. During the Great Depression, when money was tight, bologna became known as the poor man's steak. One thin slice could stretch across a slice of white bread, and suddenly you had lunch. Most folks kept it basic. Soft white bread, a slice of bologna, and a dab of yellow mustard. But the magic happened when you tossed that bologna into a hot pan. The edges would curl, the center would sizzle, and that crispy ring added a little extra something. Some families would even score the edges to keep it from bubbling up too much. Whether it was served with mustard or mayo, fried or plain, the Bologna Sandwich wasn't about luxury. It was about making the most of what you had, and somehow still making it feel like a treat. Which of these sandwiches did you grow up eating, or still make today? Bread and butter sandwich. No meat, no cheese, no jam. Just 2 slices of bread, softened butter, and the will to make it through another day. This humble sandwich showed up in lunch boxes and on dinner plates across America, especially during the Great Depression and wartime rationing. Parents found little ways to make it feel special. Maybe a sprinkle of salt, or gently toasting the bread so the butter melted in like magic. Some even cut the sandwiches into stars or triangles just to make kids smile. It wasn't fancy, but it was comfort. It filled empty stomachs and reminded families that even in the toughest times, a little love and creativity could turn almost nothing into something. Cucumber sandwich. We often think of cucumber sandwiches as something you'd see at a fancy tea party, but their roots are much humbler. During the Great Depression, meat was a luxury, especially in summer. So families turned to what they had: fresh garden cucumbers. Thinly sliced and layered between 2 slices of bread, sometimes with a smear of butter and a pinch of salt. The cucumber sandwich was cool, crisp, and incredibly refreshing. For workers toiling in the heat, especially farmers, it wasn't just food, it was relief. Some folks added a splash of vinegar or a sprinkle of dill when they had it, giving the sandwich a little extra flavor. Unlike the heavy, starchy meals of the time, this one offered something rare: lightness. Peanut butter and pickle sandwich. It paired creamy peanut butter with sharp, crunchy pickles. 2 ingredients that were cheap, shelf-stable, and easy to find. Dill pickles were the classic choice. Their tangy bite cut through the richness of the peanut butter perfectly. In some parts of the country, folks swapped in sweet pickles, especially if they'd been canning at home. What made this sandwich special wasn't just the flavor, it was the texture. Smooth and crunchy in every bite, it gave families something different, in a time when meals were often repetitive and bland. Even after times got better, many who grew up with this odd combo kept eating it, not just for taste, but for the memories it brought back with every bite. Tomato sandwich. Few things say summer quite like a tomato sandwich. Simple, juicy, and straight from the garden, it was the reward for months of waiting. Thick slices of sun-warmed tomato, laid between 2 slices of bread, with just a dash of salt and pepper. Nothing fancy, but absolutely perfect. In the South, a thin layer of mayonnaise was the go-to. Up in the Midwest, folks used butter instead. Either way, the real star was the tomato. Ripe, red, and so fresh its juices soaked right into the bread, making every bite a little messy but completely satisfying. For many families, especially during hard times, this sandwich was a daily staple in late summer. You'd eat it again and again, right up until the first frost. Tuna salad sandwich. When canned tuna hit the shelves in the early 1900s, it became a game changer for families trying to stretch every dollar. With just a can of tuna and a spoonful of mayo, you could whip up enough filling for several sandwiches. Simple, satisfying, and budget-friendly. During World War II, when meat was rationed, tuna salad became a patriotic stand-in for beef. Navy wives made it a staple, often adding chopped celery, onion, or even a boiled egg to stretch it further. Some threw in a little relish for extra flavor. It wasn't just a home meal. Tuna sandwiches showed up at church events, potlucks, and community picnics because they were easy to make in bulk. Egg and sardine sandwich. When money was tight and energy was a must, the egg and sardine sandwich packed a punch. Canned sardines were cheap, full of protein, and didn't need refrigeration. Mix them with chopped hard-boiled eggs and a splash of vinegar, and you had a powerhouse meal, rich in nutrients and flavor. This sandwich was especially popular in immigrant communities, many of which brought over traditions of preserved fish from Europe. It made sense. Sardines were shelf-stable, affordable, and filled you up. Factory workers, miners, and laborers often carried this sandwich in their lunch pails. It was easy to make ahead, and it held up well through long shifts. Some folks added diced onion or chopped pickles for a little extra zing. It wasn't glamorous, but it got the job done, and it kept America moving during some of its toughest times. Fried Spam Sandwich. Spam hit American shelves in 1937, right when folks needed it most. With meat expensive and rationed, Spam offered an affordable, long-lasting alternative, and families quickly learned to make the most of it. The classic move? Slice it thin, fry it until the edges crisped up, and slap it between two slices of bread. Add a smear of mustard or mayonnaise, and you had a hot, salty, filling sandwich that stuck with you through a long day. During World War II, Spam was everywhere in military rations. Soldiers got used to it, and when they came home, so did the sandwich. It became a working-class favorite across the country. In Hawaii, Spam became more than just lunch. It became a tradition. Local twists on the Spam sandwich still thrive there today, proving this humble meat never really left the table. Did your parents or grandparents have a unique sandwich recipe of their own? We'd love to hear the story. Bacon and peanut butter sandwich. When meat was scarce and every strip of bacon counted, families got creative, and that's how the bacon and peanut butter sandwich came to be. One crispy slice of bacon, crumbled into a spoonful of peanut butter, could transform a plain sandwich into something savory and special. During wartime rationing and lean years, this was how families stretched flavor without sacrificing comfort. The smoky saltiness of bacon blended beautifully with the creamy richness of peanut butter, creating a sandwich that felt hearty even if the ingredients were minimal. On rare good days or birthdays, someone might drizzle in a bit of honey or molasses to add a touch of sweetness. It was simple, resourceful, and surprisingly tasty. This sandwich proved you didn't need a lot to enjoy a meal, just a little bacon, a little creativity, and a lot of heart. Bread and milk sandwich. It doesn't get more basic or more heartfelt than the bread and milk sandwich. Just slices of plain bread soaked in sweetened milk, sometimes with a touch of sugar pressed together to create a soft, comforting meal when almost nothing else was around. During the Great Depression, this simple dish was often served as a dessert for children who had never tasted real cake. On rare special days, a sprinkle of cinnamon transformed it into something almost magical, like a poor man's bread pudding between slices. Mayonnaise and onion sandwich. It was simple, it was strong, and for many working folks, the mayonnaise and onion sandwich was just what they needed to power through a long day. Thin slices of raw onion, sometimes soaked in cold water to tame the bite, were layered on soft bread with a generous smear of mayonnaise. That creamy mayo helped mellow the sharpness of the onion, turning two basic ingredients into a bold, satisfying meal. It was a favorite in factories, especially among Southern textile mill workers and Midwestern manufacturing crews. It was cheap, easy to make, and packed just enough flavor to feel like more than it really was. Some added a shake of black pepper or a dash of paprika when they had it. No matter how it was made, this sandwich was fuel, plain, punchy, and unforgettable. Chicken salad sandwich. The chicken salad sandwich came from a place of practicality. After Sunday dinner, when the roast chicken had already served its main purpose, and maybe even flavored Monday's soup, what was left got chopped fine and mixed with a little mayonnaise to make it stretch. During the Depression and wartime, families got creative. Celery, apples, even hard-boiled eggs were added to bulk up the mix. The trick was chopping the chicken as fine as possible. Every shred mattered. What started as scraps turned into a hearty, protein-packed lunch for the whole family. These sandwiches weren't just for home. They often showed up at church socials and community events, served with the crust trimmed and cut into neat triangles. Simple ingredients, served with care. That's what made the chicken salad sandwich feel like more than just leftovers. Ham and cheese sandwich. These days, the ham and cheese sandwich feels like an everyday lunch. But during the Great Depression, it was anything but ordinary. Back then, a single slice of deli ham, shaved paper thin, and 1 square of processed cheese had to stretch across multiple sandwiches. Mothers would carefully layer the ingredients between slices of bread, often adding a bit of lettuce or a swipe of mayonnaise to bulk it up. It wasn't just about taste, it was about survival. Together, the ham and cheese gave just enough protein to keep a family going. Some families got even more creative. Cheese rinds weren't thrown out. They were melted down into a spread, turning scraps into something useful. Mock chicken sandwich? When real chicken was too expensive or just unavailable, resourceful cooks came up with the mock chicken sandwich. It looked like chicken salad, tasted close enough, and got the job done. The base? Usually ground bologna or other budget meats, chopped fine and mixed with cracker crumbs to stretch it. The real trick was in the seasoning: sage, celery, salt, and a touch of mayo. Some even added a drop of yellow food coloring to make it look more like the real deal. During wartime rationing, this sandwich became a fixture in school cafeterias and factory lunchrooms across the country. In the leanest times, some cooks swapped out meat entirely and used mashed beans instead. Chicken liver sandwich. When nothing could go to waste, the chicken liver sandwich became a smart and nutritious solution. Families who raised their own chickens used every part of the bird, and the liver, rich in iron and flavor, was no exception. Cooked and chopped with onions, then mixed with a little mayonnaise, chicken livers turned into a creamy, hearty filling. Some folks added chopped hard-boiled eggs or a spoonful of relish for extra flavor and texture. It was frugal, yes, but it was also packed with nutrients, especially important for growing kids. In rural areas, farm children often brought these sandwiches to school in their lunch pails. They might not have been glamorous, but they fueled long days of chores and learning. Thank you for watching. To continue with more content, comment 1 to let us know you're still following. Anchovy paste sandwich. The anchovy paste sandwich might sound unusual today, but back in the day, it was a working-class favorite. Especially for immigrant families from the Mediterranean who knew how to make a little go a long way. A small tube of anchovy paste could stretch across several meals. Spread thinly over buttered bread, it delivered a bold, salty punch that made even the simplest sandwich feel hearty. When available, slices of hard-boiled egg were added for extra richness and protein. Some folks layered in thin sliced onions or a squeeze of lemon juice to brighten the flavor. It wasn't fancy, but it was flavorful and full of nutrients, including valuable omega-3s. In hard times, the anchovy paste sandwich stood out for one reason. A little bit packed a big punch. It was frugal food with serious personality. Sloppy Joe. Messy, hearty, and full of flavor. The Sloppy Joe became a mid-20th century classic that showed up in lunchrooms, dinner tables, and roadside diners across America. Made with browned ground beef, chopped onions, ketchup or tomato sauce, and a dash of Worcestershire sauce, it's served hot and loose on a soft hamburger bun. The result? A saucy, savory sandwich that's as satisfying as it is sloppy. The origins are still debated. Some say it came from a Havana bar in 1917. Others credit a cook named Joe in Sioux City, Iowa during the 1930s. By the 1940s, though, the Sloppy Joe was everywhere. It was easy to make, affordable, and bursting with bold flavor. Everything a working family needed. More than just a sandwich, the Sloppy Joe became a symbol of mid-century American comfort food. Curried sardine salad sandwiches. After World War II, canned sardines were a pantry staple, and curried sardine salad became a creative twist that turned budget ingredients into something bold and unforgettable. This flavorful sandwich started with mashed sardines blended with creamy mayo, a splash of lemon juice, chopped celery for crunch, and a generous shake of curry powder. The result? A zesty, savory spread that delivered texture and taste far beyond its humble ingredients. Spread it thick on soft bread and top with crisp lettuce or cucumber slices for balance. In the UK, some versions even added chopped apples or raisins for a touch of sweetness. In the US, hard-boiled eggs or capers were popular mix-ins. It was flavorful, affordable, and full of character. A sandwich that proved frugal meals could still be full of flair. Ravioli Sandwiches. It might sound a little wild, but the ravioli sandwich became a quirky comfort food during the mid-20th century, especially once canned ravioli hit the scene in the 1930s, thanks to Chef Boyardee. The idea was simple. Take a few spoonfuls of canned ravioli, meat or cheese, and sandwich them between slices of bread. Toast it or grill it, and suddenly you've got a crispy, gooey, Italian-inspired pocket of comfort. Often called ravioli heroes or even Italian sloppy joes, these sandwiches were a hit with college students and busy families looking for a hot, filling meal on a tight budget. It's not your traditional Italian fare, but it worked. Warm, saucy, and satisfying, the ravioli sandwich gave folks a fun way to enjoy familiar flavors in a whole new way. Olive loaf sandwiches. Take a trip back to mid-century America, and you'll find the olive loaf sandwich packed in lunchboxes from coast to coast. Made from a mix of ground pork and beef, dotted with green olives, this cold cut stood out for its salty, savory bite and splash of color. Making the sandwich was easy but satisfying. A few slices of olive loaf, a spread of mayonnaise or tangy mustard, maybe a leaf of crisp lettuce or a slice of cheese, all between soft sandwich bread. Simple, quick, and full of flavor. It became a go-to for picnics and school lunches, usually served with chips or a dill pickle on the side. Macaroni and cheese loaf sandwich. In mid-20th century America, comfort food found a new, quirky shape, the macaroni and cheese loaf sandwich. This unusual creation took slices of a savory loaf made with pasta, cheese, and bits of ham, and tucked them between slices of bread, usually with a swipe of mustard or mayonnaise. Debuting in the 1950s, it became a staple at lunch counters and family tables alike. The loaf itself had the rich, familiar flavor of mac and cheese, but its firm shape made it perfect for slicing and stacking into sandwiches. Often paired with potato chips or a pickle spear, it was filling, portable, and undeniably different. It may have looked odd, but for many families, it was both practical and beloved. A fun way to turn leftover-style comfort food into something you could hold in your hand. Deviled ham sandwich. Spicy, zesty, and easy to make, the deviled ham sandwich became a favorite lunch option in late 19th and early 20th century America. Deviled simply meant adding bold spices like mustard, hot sauce, or cayenne to liven things up, and ham was the perfect base for that flavorful punch. In 1868, the William Underwood Company in Boston began canning deviled ham, and their famous devil logo is still one of the oldest food trademarks in America. The canned version was prized for its long shelf life and convenience, especially during tough times. To make it, folks mixed ground ham with mayo, mustard, and spices, then spread it between slices of soft bread. For extra crunch or flavor, you might add pickles or a leaf of lettuce. It was bold, budget-friendly, and packed with personality. A true lunchbox classic. Do you think any of these sandwiches could make a comeback today? Why or why not? Lard Sandwich. Of all the poor man's sandwiches, the lard sandwich might be the most humble and the most telling. Just 2 slices of bread and a layer of rendered animal fat. That was it. But when times were hard and cupboards were bare, it delivered the calories needed to keep going. In Appalachian communities and rural farm towns, this sandwich was quick fuel. A sprinkle of salt turned it savory. A bit of sugar made it sweet. And if the family had molasses on hand, A thin drizzle turned it into something almost like dessert. People who had access to home-rendered lard swore it tasted better than anything store-bought. And while it lacked modern nutrition, it gave laborers the energy they needed for long, grueling days. Monte Cristo Sandwich. The Monte Cristo Sandwich is one of those rare meals that feels indulgent, comforting, and just a little bit fancy, all at the same time. At its core, it's a ham and cheese sandwich. But what makes it special? It's dipped in egg or batter and fried until it's golden, crisp, and irresistibly warm. A cousin to the French croque monsieur, the Monte Cristo took on an American twist. Some versions are savory, while others go sweet, dusted with powdered sugar and served with jam or maple syrup on the side. That contrast of salty and sweet made it a real standout. It soared in popularity during the 1950s and became a fan favorite at Disneyland's Blue Bayou restaurant. One bite, and it's easy to see why. Crispy outside, melty inside, and pure comfort all the way through. Tongue Sandwich. The tongue sandwich is a true example of old-world ingenuity, taking a humble, often overlooked cut of meat and turning it into something unforgettable. In traditional Jewish delis and European bistros, beef tongue was slow-cooked for hours until it was incredibly tender, then sliced thin and served warm or cold. The go-to bread? Hearty rye or a crusty roll that could stand up to the richness. A smear of spicy mustard or a dab of horseradish gave the sandwich a perfect balance, cutting through the savory depth of the meat with just the right bite. What began as a way to use every part of the animal became a culinary tradition. For many, it's more than just a sandwich. It's a connection to culture, history, and the resourceful spirit that defined earlier generations. Corned beef tongue sandwich. For those willing to try something a little different, the corned beef tongue sandwich is a taste of the past that's rich in both flavor and tradition. Made from slices of seasoned, slow-cooked beef tongue, it offers a tender texture and deep, savory taste you won't find in ordinary deli meat. Once cooled and sliced thin, it's layered on fresh bread, often with mustard or pickles, to create a hearty, satisfying sandwich. In earlier generations, this wasn't unusual. It was smart cooking. Families used every part of the animal, wasting nothing and finding ways to make even the odd cuts delicious. What some saw as scraps, others turned into something special. Victory Sandwich. The Victory Sandwich is more than just a meal. It's a symbol of resilience and post-war hope. Born in the aftermath of World War II, it came from a time when every bite mattered, and nothing went to waste. Built on buttered bread with a smear of mustard or whatever spread was on hand, the filling was humble. Maybe a slice of cold meat, a few leftover vegetables, or even just a bit of cheese. It wasn't about extravagance, it was about making do and still making it good. These sandwiches reflected the spirit of a nation determined to move forward. And today, chefs still honor that legacy, putting modern spins on the Victory Sandwich with artisanal spreads and pickled veggies, proving that even the simplest things can carry powerful stories. Spam and pineapple sandwiches. Few sandwiches capture the American love for sweet and savory quite like the Spam and pineapple sandwich. Born during World War II, this quirky combo took off as Spam became a military staple, then a household name. The sandwich pairs crispy, pan-fried slices of Spam with sweet golden rings of pineapple, sometimes slightly caramelized in the pan. Toasted bread adds crunch, while a swipe of mayo or a slice of melty cheese rounds out the flavor. It's a bite that's salty, sweet, creamy, and just a little tropical. After Hawaii became a U.S. state in 1959, this sandwich gained even more popularity, reflecting the growing Hawaiian influence on American kitchens. It's bold, it's different, and for many families, it was a flavorful escape in the middle of everyday routine. Which of these sandwiches brought back memories, or surprised you the most? Let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed this trip down memory lane, be sure to check out the rest of our nostalgia-packed series. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share Past Not Past with someone who loves a good slice of history.